Hi guys, Chris Ingram here, financial advisor with Prosperitas Financial. Inflation Reduction Act. You probably heard that this just passed a couple of days ago. So I want to give you a little bit of the highlights, tell you what came with the Inflation Reduction Act and what it might mean for you and things that you can think about now that it is official. First of all, what is it? So they're looking to do a combination of things. A lot of it is in the clean energy, some of the employer retirement plan space, stuff like that. So the first slide I have here is how they plan on raising money. So the goal is they're going to raise about $737 billion in revenue. That's the goal. None of that is guaranteed, though. We'll have to see how some of this plays out. But the highlights of where they're raising this money is that there's going to be a 15% corporate minimum tax on companies that have $1 billion or more in profits. They anticipate that that's going to raise $222 billion. The next line is $265 billion that they expect to raise from Medicare negotiation of prescription drug pricing. Next line, which I think a lot of us are probably most interested in, is they plan to raise $124 billion of additional tax revenue because they're going to spend $80 billion on increasing the IRS workforce and coming after what they're calling lost revenue on tax returns. So they're looking to find people that aren't paying as much as they should be in taxes. $47 billion coming from a 1% excise tax on stock buybacks. So companies that typically buy back their stock, they're going to have kind of a tax or a penalty for doing so. And then $52 billion from deduction limit on high income taxpayers claiming business losses. So they're going to cap what you can claim as a business loss at $250,000 and take away some of the ability to write off huge losses from corporate losses, and they expect to raise about $52 billion from that. Another two to note, and they didn't give exact numbers of how that would play out of the $737 billion, but they've added in a 16.4 cent per barrel tax on crude oil and on imported petroleum, and then a 95% tax penalty on drug manufacturers that have been increasing the price of their drugs, getting them and encouraging them to lower drug prices. So the goal is $737 billion in revenue, but obviously a lot of these, it depends on how it all plays out, so we'll see how much that actually raises. Where are they spending money? So what is the money they're putting back in to benefit all of us, right? That's ultimately the goal, is that they plan on doing $369 billion on green energy and tax credits and $64 billion to extend the Affordable Care Act. So what are the highlights? In healthcare, what that means is Medicare negotiations to lower the cost of prescription drugs under Medicare, so that benefits those that are paying for prescription drugs and are currently on Medicare. In 2025, out-of-pocket spending on prescription drugs will be capped at $2,000 a year with Medicare Part D, and then a $35 monthly out-of-pocket cap for the cost of insulin. Starting in 2024, they're going to increase income limits to qualify for Medicare low-income subsidies, which means more people with a little bit higher income will still qualify for those Medicare low-income subsidies. And then they are extending the health insurance premium tax credit through the end of 2025, which was set to expire, I believe, this year, at the end of this year. The other thing to keep in mind is what they're doing with green energy, and this bullet point actually is supposed to be down in green energy, so I'll explain that rewiring America in a second. But in the green energy space, they're going to give a $7,500 tax rebate for the purchase of a new clean energy vehicle, so an electric vehicle, and a $4,000 tax credit for a used clean energy vehicle, and a maximum rebate of $14,000 for what they're calling heat pumps and other energy efficient appliances. So just putting energy efficient appliances into your home can save you a little bit of money on taxes. And then lastly, a 30% tax credit for lowered energy costs. What that's really encouraging is things like putting solar on your home. If you can bring down the cost that you're spending on your energy, they're going to give you a tax credit to help pay for those energy efficient changes that you make to your home. Rewiring America, what that is that's a website that you can go to, and why it goes with green energy is it's a calculator, and you can go into that calculator and you can play with some of these numbers and see if I bought this car or I added this solar, I did this, that, and the other, how much would it benefit me and how much would it save me on my tax return? So a way to see what the benefit might be if you made some of these changes down here. Ultimately, if you put all those numbers together, what they're hoping is that this reduces the budget deficit over the next 10 years by $277 billion. They say $300 billion, but my math says about $277 billion. But again, we have to see how some of this plays out. How much of that tax revenue do they actually get, and how much of this actually comes to fruition? But ultimately, that's what it looks like, and that's what just got passed. And so those are some of the changes you want to keep in mind going forward with this new Inflation Reduction Act. My name is Chris Ingram with Prosperitas Financial. Please check us out at www.prosperitasfin.com.